Hey guys, it's Wayne Scully, W. Scully CPA PC. I'm a tax strategist, CPA with 20 years of experience in auditing, small business advisory, and tax consulting. As a real estate tax planner, I focus on providing solutions to real estate investors in your tri-state area. My firm provides tax compliance, business consulting, and high-value tax planning strategies to save you thousands of dollars now. I don't let that fool you. I work with pretty much almost anyone, right? As long as you see the value I bring to the table. But anyway, didn't hop on this video to do that. I really wanted to talk a little bit about some issues with, the IRS season, this season that we're in now. Just started accepting the tax returns today, the IRS on the 24th. So, I just wanted to kind of say, hey, guys, here are some things you need to know, some things you need to be aware of so you can make the season a smooth one, okay? So you want to avoid delays, right? One of the things you want to do is you want to make sure that you choose direct deposit, right? Prepare your return accurately. And for some people, for a lot of people, returns could be fairly simple and they could do it themselves and no problem. You have a W-2 from your job, you made $20,000, no kids, nothing else going on. Boom, easy, right? If it gets more complicated than that, you have maybe some rental income, some income from your small business that you want to side or something like that, or it may get a little more complex, right? So you may want to think about hiring someone just to reduce the errors, right? Because if you have errors on the return, it's going to delay it, delay it, and delay it, and the errors is already behind, right? From 2 years ago, or let's say a year ago or something. So it really behooves you to kind of, make sure you're getting the return done accurately and, get the direct deposit on, do it electronically, e-filing that is. So you avoid yourself going to the post office and drop it in the mail, waiting for it to receive it. They get to the IRS, and who knows when they're going to receive it, right? Because they have tons of mail that they say they're caught up, but I'm not quite sure. So that's kind of like what you want to do to avoid, or some what you want to do to avoid delays, right? Now, if you're getting certain credits like economic impact payment, which is the stimulus checks that people got last year, and some the year before, yeah, or you get that you got the advanced child tax credit, right? If you receive those, you want to make sure that on the return you're preparing for 2021, those amounts that are advance payments or your stimulus payments that you never received, that you indicate exactly how much you've gotten so far. Now, the best way to do this is by you get a letter from the IRS. If you didn't get a letter from the IRS, there's a way to go into an account, into your online account that you create for yourself. The IRS, yes, the IRS does have online accounts for individual taxpayers. You can create your account. Believe me, I went through the process. It's really a pretty lengthy process, a little tedious, but you can do it. Get into the account. You'll be able to get the letters that they're going to send by mail. Okay, and that will tell you how much you got for your stimulus payment and how much you got for your advanced child tax credit. All right, so you want to make sure those amounts are correct, because if you don't have them correctly on the form, on the tax forms, you will experience significant delays. I mean, significant delays. I had a client last year that forgot that they got the EIP, or said they got it, but didn't really, said they never got it, but actually got it. And then it took them 6 months to get their refund. All right, 6 months. So you don't want it to happen to you. Just make sure you double check, triple check, those amounts, and you put them accurately on the tax return, right? So that will avoid those delays, right? Now, if you qualify for the earned income tax credit or the additional child tax credit, you're gonna have to wait. You file the return this month, today, next week, or whatever. The IRS will not start processing those returns until the 12th, right? Right. So the 12th, before you can see any refunds, based on those credits, earned income tax credit or an additional child tax credit. So folks, get the returns in early nonetheless, but just know you're gonna have to wait to get those refunds. All right. Now, I call IRS all the time, right, to help clients to resolve their tax issues. And um, I absolutely have to be on the phone for 2, 3 hours sometimes to get through to someone. And then even then, I get disconnected. Call just drops sometimes, whatever the reason is, I never get through. And I have a dedicated line. I mean, CPAs have a dedicated line, tax professionals have a dedicated line. And we are supposed to get through probably a little faster than the lay person. That's not necessarily the case these days. If I'm lucky, maybe 30 minutes, an hour. If I'm not so lucky, like I said, 3 hours. Not good, not cool. So I'd say if you can, if you're familiar, cut down the you know, it, instances where you're gonna try to call the IRS, especially if you're doing it on your own, right? Because if I have it bad, you're gonna have it real bad. So you may want to check their frequently asked questions, look at the publications if you understand them well, if you can understand them, because most of those sometimes people get confused. And probably the best tool so far that the IRS has for taxpayers is the online account I mentioned before. You can also check your refund status. You could check the status of your amended return. There are a lot of things on there, a lot of tools on the IRS website that you can use to really, help you to manage, preparing your returns and so forth. And if after you prepare them, you can know where your money is, right? So take advantage of those tools. Don't try to do it via calling the IRS. It's not gonna be a very good experience for you. Okay, believe me. Take it from someone who calls them all the time. Now, there's some people that, and I think I mentioned this on a video I did recently, that there's some people who don't normally file a return, right? They don't normally file a return, but the only way they'll get certain credits for 2021, as was the case in 2020, is by filing a return, right? So there's a non-filer tool, and if you didn't use that tool and you didn't file your 2020, for example, to get the recovery rebate credit, which is the stimulus payment, or the advanced child tax credit, or the earned income tax credit, you have to file a return 2021, right? I mean, doesn't mean that you're gonna get all those credits that you should have gotten for 2020. If you want it for 2020, you have to file the 2020 tax return, right? But for 2021, you gotta file your return for that year to get the recovery rebate credit, the advanced child tax credit, and the earned income credit, EITC, right? So just be mindful of that. Now, as I mentioned before, there are a lot of resources that IRS has to, get a handle on your tax account, get a handle on your refund, and amend the return, get answers to just frequently asked questions. Their website is pretty robust. Sometimes it's overwhelming. Actually, there's a lot of information out there, from publications to IRS procedures, you name it. But if you want to try to do it yourself and get some information, that's probably where I would start, not by calling the IRS. All right, and then there's some programs that IRS has, for people who can free file if you make below a certain income dollar amount. You can possibly free file the return. You can contact the VITA centers and whatnot to get more information on that, right? So if you are still waiting for your 2020 to be processed, and it has not been processed yet, you should still file your 2021 anyway, right? Remember, every year is a silo. Every year is its own little animal, if you will. You gotta file each year, and whatever happens in that year, in that silo, it stays in that silo, generally speaking, right? There's some things that carry forward from year to year, sometimes go back, but most things, whenever they occur in that particular year, it belongs on that year's tax return, right? I had a come the other day where a prospective client was asking me, can I take a credit on my purchasing a car this year on my last year's return? Nah, you can't do that, right? I think it was about an electric plug-in vehicle or something. So you can't do that, right? So so it's important, file the 2021 return, even if your 2020 has not been processed. And if you need information from your 2020, like for example, your AGI to e-file the return, instead of obviously you won't have, you have the AGI because you filed the return, right? The return has not been processed yet. If the AGI doesn't work, put zero. Yep, that's right, $0, right, for AGI. Otherwise, you will not be able to e-file the return. If you're mailing the return, not a problem. You can drop it in the mail as per usual. But if you're e-filing the return, you gotta put zero if you don't know that the return has been processed yet for 2020. So, and then last but not least, April 18th is the deadline, right? April 18th is the deadline for your 2020 taxes. So you need to file those tax returns on time or risk getting what? Penalties and interest for not especially if you owe. Obviously, if you don't owe, you won't have any penalties and interest. However, you will be given the IRS an interest-free loan. The longer they hold on to your money, is the less money you have, right? Because they're not giving you the money, you don't have that money to use for yourself. So what's the point? Get that tax return in on time, get it done like yesterday. You're experiencing significant delays already anyway. Get them done fast, get them done right, right? And then wait to get that check if you do a refund. If you owe, well, I'm sorry. I mean, that happens sometimes. I myself owe sometimes. So you just got to ante up, you just got to pay, all right? You pay it and you move on, right? Don't pay late or too late because you're going to get more interest and penalties, all right? So again, you can file the return on time. If you don't file on time, right, you're gonna get penalties and interest. If you can't avoid filing it on time, you can get an automatic extension for 6 months. That takes you out to what, October, I believe. So if that's the case, I mean, fine. Again, with that though, just know that it's not an extension to pay, it's an extension to file the return. All right. So folks, stay safe, stay well. I'll catch you next time. Have a good one.